Hey there, and welcome to another episode of the Divorced Woman's Guide podcast. How are you doing today? I hope that you're having a wonderful day. And I'm so excited and happy that you've tuned into today's episode because I'm going to talk to you guys about what your new normal life gets to look like after divorce and what is the biggest secret to help you to create balance in this new chapter. And so let's dive in. I just did a masterclass on this topic as well, so you may want to check that out on my website. But what I want to share with you guys is my own personal experience to start out. And that is that when I thought about creating a new normal, it made me physically sick. The reason being that I worked so hard over how many decades to create the life that I had. And here I was, clean slate all over again. And I now had to create what my new normal got to look like as a single mom. And previously to this, the word new had meant something fun and exciting, right? Like getting a new pair of shoes or getting a fun new lipstick. And what I know to be true, and you will agree with me, is that my divorce was neither exciting nor fun. And nothing felt normal. And let's just add the word adjustment, right? Adjustment to the list, right? That was an understatement compared to the road that I was facing. And even though I would allow myself to take very deep breaths in and to exhale, and doing that 1,000 times, it just wasn't something that was helping me to feel like I was in momentum. I kept feeling like I was stuck. It was kind of like this rinse and repeat. And so what I want to talk to you guys about today is how to do this without the stress and the overwhelm. And that's what I was able to figure out. And so when you guys think about this new life that you get to create for yourself, it can be very daunting, right? And what I know is that you've got to embrace and be open to shifting your mindset around what normal means and seeing it as a glass half empty instead of a glass half full. So what I'm asking you guys to do is to just keep an open mind as you are trying to figure out what it is that is next for you, what it is that you are being taught with your divorce, and looking at starting over and creating this new normal as an opportunity to live life as you choose, to design a life that is all yours instead of you being handed the life that was left over from your marriage. And it took me 2 years, you guys, to get to that place because I did it the hard way. I started in the wrong places. I got distracted along the way. I'm the type of person that it's like squirrel and I'm like, whoop, whoop, whoop. Like I get distracted very easily. And so when I was out there doing things by myself, I wasn't moving. I felt like I was constantly taking steps back. And so how is it that I'm supposed to create a new normal if I keep going back to my past, or that I feel like I'm not even in momentum? And I struggled. I struggled. I mean, talk about being on the struggle bus. I was on it for a really long time. And what I have learned is that the quickest way, okay, the ticket to you starting to find your new normal has to do with you knowing what your voice sounds like and how that relates back to the identity of who you are today. So what I had to learn for myself was how to do that, because I grew up in a family where I felt silenced. I was a girl, typical girl, don't speak up, sit pretty, don't call attention to yourself. And I brought that dynamic into my marriage. And I know that a lot of you have the same dynamic that happened in your family. And what that ended up looking like, and especially in my marriage, was I was doing everything for everyone else. I was wearing every hat in the family and individually. And what that started to do was to slowly pick away at who I was. And I suddenly was speaking through my ex-husband instead of using my own authentic voice. And so the minute that I asked for a divorce, like I even remember when the words came out of my mouth, it was almost like I was like, wait, who just said that? Oh, that was me. And that was the first time that I really heard my voice, that I took a stand for myself. And from there, it was, okay, now what? Now what do I do? How do I create this new life now that I made a choice? Because you see, there were two choices that I had. And I bet that you are presented with the same ones. I could, number one, I could sit there and try to tread water and replay all the things of my past that led up to this moment and choose to get stuck in this chapter of divorce, which then would have allowed my divorce to define me. It would have defined who I was, what my life would look like going forward. So that was choice number one. And then choice number two was, well, I could make the necessary adjustments and start living my next chapter, one choice, one decision, one day at a time. And when you break it down that way, don't you guys think you would choose number two? I mean, I would choose number two all day, every day. And so if that is the choice that you make, then you're choosing to shift, and you're shifting away from allowing your divorce to define you. And so the way to be able to do that is really understanding who it is that you are and what it is that you want. And until you're ready to change what you want your story to be, you're not going to get on that path of thinking forward of what is my new normal life going to look like. And instead, what you're doing is creating that imbalance. That's why we feel so off all the time, because we're like, well, this used to be my world and now I'm in this world. And how do I bring this world into this world? And how do the two worlds combine? And what do I do? Oh my God. How many of you have been in that position? And so what creating a new normal means is you using your voice to advocate for yourself. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I didn't know how to do that. So I knew that this was going to take work and it was going to take practice. And to be honest, I owed myself this. I 100%, and you guys deserve 100% to ask for what it is that you want. It is your God-forsaken right, and it is your responsibility. And so the reason that you're staying stuck is because you're not using your voice. And what I know to be true is that the shortcut to heal is to feel through your pain. And part of your pain is going to shape who it is that you are and how it is that you're going to choose to use your voice. Because a lot of the pain I was in resulted in me not having a voice, me not using my voice in my marriage. And so in order for me to use my voice, part of that required me to set boundaries, another thing that I didn't grow up or have when I was in my marriage. And so it was so hard for me to understand, well, how do I use this new voice that I have found to then communicate what my boundaries are so that I can feel respect, I can feel heard, I can feel seen, I can feel respected. And ultimately what that broke me down to was realizing that I didn't know what my values were. Now, your values are what are like, they're your compass. They're what is important to you. They guide your behavior, they guide your decisions, they guide everything you do. And when your life doesn't reflect your values, you feel constricted, you feel anxious, you feel stressed, you feel conflicted, you're constantly reacting. But when you know your values, you can authentically tap into and listen to yourself and to speak accordingly, right? Whether that's through making decisions or your behavior or your beliefs, and that reduces your stress. It helps weed out what it is that you don't want, that you don't need, that you don't believe. And so when you define what your values are, that allows you to also define what your boundaries get to be with the people in your life. Because if you don't have boundaries, how do you know what your new life gets to look like? Because what you were doing wasn't necessarily working. And I'm not saying you have to throw everything out the door, but how is it that it applies to where you are today, what you've been through today? And, you know, it used to make me really uncomfortable to express myself, to use my voice. But what I found to be really helpful was through practice and guidance, I was actually able to figure it out over time. And what I knew was crucial to me creating a life for myself and my boys was really standing in my power of my voice and of my boundaries to be able to claim and own who I was and what I wanted to create. It helped me to create the vision of the life that I wanted to have. You know, everything that I came to depend on went out the window. It's gone. But there is a way for you to be able to craft what it is that you want without asking for permission. And so what would shift in your life, right? If you knew what your values were, if you were able to use them to create your voice, to help you carve this new identity based on what you've been through. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but my divorce highlighted what my values were and why they were so important to me. My divorce taught me the importance of my values. And honestly, it also explained why I was so damn angry and so bitter, because I never used my voice. What did I do instead? I waited for him to hear it, even though I never used it. Well, he should just know. No, that's not how this works. And so what I invite you guys to do, and I hope you get out of this episode, is to see that the key to balance in navigating this new normal is recognizing when you're not honoring your values, and when you recognize that you're not, what are the boundaries that you're going to put into place? How are you going to use your voice to advocate for yourself so that you can start living a life that feels authentic, that feels respectful, that feels loving, caring? So I'm curious to know what you guys heard me say, what resonated, what landed for you in today's episode. You know that I always love to hear from you guys. So I encourage you guys to reach out, wendy@wendysterling.net. If you guys are looking for a Facebook community, please come in and join mine. It is called The Divorce Rehab, and you can find me on Facebook. And my Instagram handle is Divorce Rehab with Wendy. You can check out my website for any amazing content, free downloads, as well as upcoming events, and that's at wendysterling.net. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Love you guys so much. Sending you so much love, light, and joy as always. Mwah. Bye, everybody.